Hope, what's happening? What's the day look like? Little lunch with Baum. Here we go. We're on a roll. All right, who's this crazy guy anyway? Topic today is recharge your battery. When you come on, give me a thumbs up. Tell me where you're coming from. What'd your workout look like today? Maybe it was a recovery week. We're going to talk about that here in a second. But if you're first time, if you're watching live, drop a 1. If you're watching the replay, give me a 2. And if you're a first timer here, who's this crazy guy, Lunch with Baum, drop a 3. I'd love to connect with you, see where you're coming from. My name is Frank Baumholtz. I'm a high school strength coach and PE teacher. Been doing that for 21 years. Run my own gym. I love doing these little Lunch with Baum, because if I can just breathe a little bit of positivity into your life, give you one little ounce of motivation and inspiration, then that's my goal. So as an educator, a lifelong learner, I'm always trying to get better, and I want to inspire other people to get better too. So once again, when you come on, give me a thumbs up, drop some of those hearts down there. I got my Insta Live going, got my Facebook Live going. So like it and share it, drop me some hearts, drop me some love. That always helps with those algorithms that keep blowing things up. So help me out with that. Topic today is recharge your battery. All right. Let's see. A couple of things. Imagine this. All right. You could be any car in the world. Any car in the world, what would it be? Now, here's one little thing. You got to pick one. One car. Your favorite car. For me, 69 Camaro, metallic blue. All right. That's mine. All right. So drop it down. What's your favorite car? Any car you could be in the world. It doesn't matter if doesn't how much it costs or whatever. All right. So any car you could be. Now, one of my points that I'm going to make here in a little bit is that it's the only car you can have your entire life. You get one car. All right, here we go. I got a Barracuda from Riley. All right. What else? Who's on here? I got Mark. I got Sean. Brandon, what's happening? Let's see. Who else is on here? Drop it down. What's your favorite? If you could be any car in the world, you personally, like you're the car, what car would you be? All right. Any car. Drop it down. I want to hear what you got. Mine, 69 metallic blue Camaro. All right. That's my ultimate car that I would be. Now, here's the big thing is, you got no trade-ins. There's no trade-ins, no upgrades. That's it. That's the car you got. All right. How would you treat it? How would you take care of that car? What are some things that you would do? Drop it down below. I want to hear. What do you got? Maybe wash it from time to time, wax it, make it look shiny. Mine's metallic, so that thing's popping already. All right, maybe shine the tires. All right, what about the insides? What kind of fuel are you putting in it? Are you changing the oil? Are you doing anything with it? All right, I'd be changing the oil. I'd make sure there's no dust on the inside, make sure the engine's clean. You have a schedule, that every 3,000 miles you're going in. Shoot, I'd probably make mine 2,500. You're tuning it up. You're making sure that it's running smooth. Here's the crazy thing is we will run our bodies to the brink of disaster and then think that we got to trade in. Technology has changed a lot of things for us, because we can get new joints now, and we can repair blown up ligaments and things like that, and the medical field has come a long way. But you have one body. There's no trade-ins. And the crazy thing is, people wait until they're overweight, they're sick, something catastrophic happens either to them or somebody else, and then they're like, I should probably do something about it. Folks, if you treated your body like that cherry car that you have, that you'd have to take care of it day in and day out, so that now accidents happen, right? Accidents happen, but you got the preparation and the prevention of taking care of that car, taking care of your body is, it's really important. How about this? What if you roll out, you go, and I know this has happened to some of you. You gotta drop it down. Happened to me. Put a little. Happened to me, is that you roll out. You go to get in your car, Click, nothing. Click, nothing. What happened? Oh my God. Is there gas in it? Is a battery's dead? No lights, no nothing. Battery's dead. What are you going to do? How are you going to, better go find some jumper cables, right? Find some jumper cables. Hopefully you got some in the trunk or you got some in the garage. You go get some jumper cables. Bam! You got to start that battery back up, right? And the funny thing is your car has this kind of ability. Most batteries, they kind of like recharge themselves, all right? You get it jumpered and then you're off and you're running and then, the car will start to stop. The body's funny. It's the same way. You got to recharge that battery so that the body can kind of self-regulate itself and get itself going. What's the number one thing that you think is important to help recharge your batteries? Drop it down. What do you think? Who's got something? Well, rule number 1, good nutrition. Rule number 2, follow rule number 1. And rule number 3, you got to have a sound training program. And what I mean by that is the training that you do should enhance what you do outside of the training setting. Too many times people go in and it's just Smashville every single day, beat themselves up, metabolic. And then they wonder why the body shuts down and the battery can't recharge, right? Got to have good nutrition, got to follow the nutrition plan, and we have a sound training program. And it might be, how many of you actually write in a deload or active recovery week into your training programs? You should. If you don't, here's the biggest thing, is that if you don't write it down, it'll never happen. Because you think about it, it goes back to what I talked about before. A goal without a plan is just a wish, right? So rule number 1, good nutrition. Rule number 2, follow rule number 1. And then rule number 3, you got to have a sound training program. Once again, I talked about it yesterday. If you don't know how, ask. There's tons of people. I know hundreds, thousands of coaches that would just shoot them an email and say, hey, I'm wondering if you could help me out. There's tons of people that would help you out, right? You got to ask for help. So, bam, put those jumper cables on, get that car back up and running, follow a sound training program. I was working with one of my students just this last period, came in all jammed up, hips are smoked, right? But volleyball player is in a receiving position most of the time during practice. And then, funny enough, actually sits during the day. How many of you sit for like ridiculous amounts out of the day? So students, classically, they spend most of they're in the seated position, and then they go to practice and they're in a shortened athletic position as well. So this repetitive issue comes up all the time. Interesting one came up at the gym this morning too, was that someone was like, well, do you write like a specific program for certain athletes? Whether it's a baseball player, softball, volleyball player, Spartan training, and this and that. And I look at it more as a human development program. Ran a young man yesterday through a functional movement screen just to get kind of a snapshot of how he moves and whatnot, and then I can design my program from there. A lot of these guys, the cookie cutter programs, they're going to do this, that, and the other. Once again, going back to it, your training program should enhance what you do outside of the setting, and it should offset all the craziness that you do. So many times we got too many kids and athletes that are quad dominant. They got weak hamstrings, and then we wonder why our ACL issue is so prevalent in athletics today. It's because we don't have a sound training program. And don't let the balance fool you. All right, sometimes the best program is an unbalanced program. You have to balance it or maybe unbalance it for the individual. All right. No cookie cutter things. It's the same thing with nutrition and your workout programs and whatnot. So here's a couple other things. Is that soft tissue work? All right. Imagine I tied a rubber band in a knot and I stretch it. This is all recovery stuff. How am I going to recharge my batteries? You didn't get tight and bound up and your battery no charge in it overnight. It's like this ongoing thing. So I was working with this athlete, all tight through, doing some simple soft tissue work, a little FRC work, and looking at some of the things that she's like so tight and so bound up. All right. So imagine I tied a rubber band in a knot and I stretched it, and every time I kept stretching and stretching and stretching, and the body finally just says, "Whoa, time out." You gotta focus on the tissue quality as well as the tissue length. You know, you can stretch it till the cows come home, and then you're still wondering why you're so stinking tight. All right, so focus on the tissue quality, focus on the joint range of motion and the ability of the joint to have the prerequisite to do the things that you're doing. All right, all of that is in, you know, part of the recovery process. Here's another big one. How many hours of sleep do you get each night? I'm gonna raise my hand. Everybody say guilty. All right, who doesn't get enough sleep at night? I go 100 miles an hour. I'm at school all day, running the gym, running my nutritionals that I got my kids' activities and whatnot. It's crazy train, you know, 100 miles an hour all day. When I sit down, it's like shutdown time. But I'm up at 4:15 every morning. So, but you know, if you can throw in some pieces here and there, you know, it's all cumulative. So if I can get a little 15-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute little power cat nap, you know, all that stuff kind of adds up. And who's taken a nap in the last couple of weeks? Raise your hand. Come on, drop it to me. I did. Took a nap, and how great did you feel? All right, supercharged, you know, just like our kids. So recharging the battery. So the last thing is that you got to fill in the gaps. I've become a huge proponent of, you know, you got to eat real food. Going back to number one. All right, little quick review, right? Rule number one, good nutrition. Rule number two, follow rule number one. Number three is you got to have a sound training program that balances or maybe unbalances to make sure that it offsets all the craziness that you do outside of the weight room or off the court. All right, you do some crazy stuff on the court and the field and things, and it should offset the things that you do, right? And you got to recharge it, right? Grab the jumper cables. All right, you sleep, soft tissue work. All right, one other untapped one that I got written down here is just a little self-reflection. I talked about yesterday, kind of my morning routine. I have a little quiet time. I don't necessarily call it meditation. I have some friends that they talk a ton about meditation, getting the mind in the right position, sit, quiet, focus, you know, and they have a few strategies that they use. You know, I got my own kind of just my quiet time, my mental prep time, but that's a big one. Get your head right. Okay, that's part of, you know, your recovery too. I mentioned earlier about writing into your training plan a deload week. You can't go 100 miles, everything to the wall all the time. All right, granted, my schedule's crazy, but so I'll give you an example. Wednesdays, my training has been pretty crazy lately, but Wednesday's my recovery day. Wednesday's my recovery day, and actually this week has been more of a deload week. Focusing on the things that I don't do well, trying to get a little more sleep. Trying to make sure I get my mobility work in each day, making sure that my volume is a little bit less than it normally was or normally is. All right, but I write it down. You got to have a plan and you got to work the plan. You also got to fill in the gaps. You know, I was mentioning a huge proponent. You got to eat real food, but everybody is deficient. You know, I recommend to all my clients, go get your blood work done. Get your blood work done so you know. It's like a young man last night. I ran him through a movement screen. Right away, I got a pretty good idea where I need to start with them. Asymmetry here and there, some length issues here and there. You know, it's a snapshot of where you can work. You know, everybody says, oh, you can do this and that, and it's like cookie cutter. It doesn't work that way. Everybody's different. Everybody's coming from a different background, different issues. You know, get your blood work done. You know, are you deficient in, you know, in your what vitamin D? We're all living in the northern hemisphere. Shoot, look outside today here in the northwest. Raining, cold, dark. It's like gloom, doom, right? But it's not that big of an issue if everything is up to par. So if you're deficient in one way or another, you got to fill in the gaps. All right, you know, look for an all-natural nutritional that you can use. I actually grabbed a tub of some craziness off a kid the other day, and I was just like, do you know what's in this stuff? You know, read the labels. Artificial this, artificial color that. You know, that's going to wreak havoc. Look at all the, you know, sugar coffee drinks and things that the kids are walking into school with. You know, spike. The body gets spiked and then the body crashes. No wonder the battery can't go anymore. Try taking a bunch of sugar and pouring it in your car gas tank and see what happens. Not good. I guarantee that. Right. So. We got, you know, the other thing is, you know, on the nutrition end of things is look for foods that are quality. You know, just do a simple like Google search. Search two things right here. Last thing, because I got to roll. Two things is search inflammatory type foods. Just Google it. GTS that stuff. Inflammatory foods that create inflammation, and then also energy foods foods that give you energy. It's so simple, it's like mind-blowing. All right? Nobody will do it, but it's so simple. So those are the takeaways. Last thing, recap. Rule number 1, good nutrition. Rule number 2, follow rule number 1. Rule number 3, have a sound training program. If you don't know where to go, where to start, message me. I'll help you out, give you some pointers. You can go back through my Lunch with Baums and check that stuff out. All right? Energy foods, make sure you're looking. Decrease inflammation. All right? Jumper cables, baby. Get that battery recharged back up. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, because that's super important. And I'm going to make a pledge too. I'm going to try to do my best to try to get better sleep as well. All right? Do some soft tissue work. Make sure you fill in the gaps. All right? If you're like, gaps, I don't even know what that. Message me. All right? I'll share with what I'm doing with my nutritionals and all the other stuff. Once again, I value all you. Mom's on here too. Love you, Mom. All right? God, you love it when your mom comes on your lives, right? Once again, if you value what I got going on, please like and share, and drop some hearts and thumbs up, because that always helps kind of change the algorithms that Instagram and Facebook are like throwing us curveballs. And make sure you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Oh yeah, by the way, go Yankees.